see if I'm online. We'll see what's going on. There we go. Alright, so this is my new ramp deck that I made during the last video. I've tried it out a couple of times, and we will see how it works. The main idea is going to be getting as much mana as I can to drop Maelstrom. And I only have a couple of big bombs in the deck like these, where I'm basically going to take all the little like mana generating creatures and turn them all into like big meaty creatures. Basically like a Elves deck might do. There's a lot of landfall in here. There's a couple of landfall abilities which work really well with Overwhelming Stampede and Pathbreaker Ibex. So we'll see how that all works. This deck is dangerous because it can do a lot of utility effects off the lands. No possible play yield at all. This one could bring back creatures. I don't think I've seen these before. Whenever he attacks, exile the top card of player's library and fetch a counter on each of them. Oh, put a fetch counter on each of them. Put a +1/+1 counter on him for each non-creature card exiled this way. What's the fetch counter do? Oh, he does something with it. Alright, got nothing to play. No, you can only partner them. You may play non-creature cards from exile with fetch cards on them if you exiled them. And then you can spend mana as though it were any mana color to cast those spells. But you can only do it to one card, right? Oh, of each player's. Okay. Kind of like a Tali, except you still have to pay for it. And you get a permanent effect from it being in exile. Except, put a +1/+1. Oh, okay, okay. I thought it was powered up for each card that was left in exile like that, so. No, he just permanently gets that buffed. Unless we get rid of him. It's actually a really cool deck. My issue with decks like this, though, is that you're really relying on the power level of other decks to make sure you can do well. And I generally don't like that kind of thing. Well, I do. I think it's a lot of fun. I just think I've gotten burnt by it so many times. Where, let's say someone's playing, like, let's say an Elves deck, and I'm playing a bunch of, like, Clever Impersonator, I'm playing, Clone, I'm playing all this other stuff, and it's basically, yeah, I can take their cards, I can take an ability that they have, but what's it matter? Because you're just buffing up Elves, and you don't really play Elves. Let's see what we got. That's kind of actually, that's sort of neat. I could run that in Melstrom. So this turn we're going to hit 3 mana. And then we can play that next turn to get 2 more mana. In general, I'm casting the commander turn like 5 or 6. Which isn't terribly better than what my actual deck does, which is more, let me see if I can bring it up. So this is my current iteration of the best version of this deck, which is I added a little bit more versus the 9.0 and 10.0. I added a couple of more ways to get more lands, like Azusa, but the main point of this deck is to get yourself to 8 mana, and then you're kind of like getting as much mana as you can so that you can just drop all these big cards later on. Which actually, that reminds me, I need to bring back what is that thing called? Basic land. We need to bring back Boundless Realms. I'll find something to get rid of that for. I want to replace this with that monkey character. But I don't remember what he's called. Actually, let me look him up. I'll go pick him up real quick. EDH Rec for Melstrom. Because he's always put in like the synergy category. Kogala, the Titan Ape. That's the one I want. Oh wait, the Song of Creation. You may play an additional land on each of your turns. When you cast a spell, draw 2 cards. At the beginning, your end step, draw or discard your hand. My issue with this card... Sorry, my issue with this card is Maelstrom doesn't have ways to get cards back out of your out of your graveyard. So once they're in your graveyard, they're kind of just stuck in there forever. But I do like that card. You get an additional land, so it's not like a lot of other things where, like Rite of Flourishing, where everybody gets the ability. That's tough. I don't know. Let's grab a green and a red. Takes a second. Not sure just yet. Kessig Wolf Run is another good one. Here, I'm going to make a list, actually. Notepad. We're going to evaluate Kessig Wolf Run. We're going to do Sunbird's Invocation, which I have in there already, or I had in there. Yeah, there's nothing happening on my board. Song of Creation. There is Ketria Triome, which is a land that gives all 3 mana colors I need, but it comes in the battlefield tapped, which means it's only useful turn like 1 or 2. Kogla, the Titan Ape. It's 3 of a mana color, which I don't like in 3 color decks. You need 3 green and 3 colorless, but because we're playing Maelstrom and because we're playing so much land fetching, I think it's pretty easy to do that one. Migration Path, that's actually a good one. It gets you 2 basic lands, put them directly in the battlefield, or I could cycle for 2 mana. That is pretty good. It'd be nicer if it was land cycling, though. If it was 1 green and 3 colorless to get 2 basic lands and put them on the battlefield, or 2 mana to basic land cycle, and then I could get the land that I need, put it into my hand. You don't get the extra mana drop that turn, but you do get the mana fix. That would be nice, but that might be too powerful. What do we got? What do we got? Attacks, you can put the top 3 cards of your library into your graveyard. When he dies, put all land cards. Okay. What? You can put the top 3 cards of your library. That's kind of neat, but... And it's green merfolk. That's kind of neat. I don't really sacrifice my own lands. This deck would really like that. Because you discard a lot of lands. It's pretty good. I think I took Gilded Lotus out. Yeah, so I should probably think about putting that back in. Gilded Lotus is great because if you get enough mana to play Gilded Lotus, then that means next turn you're more or less guaranteed to be able to play Maelstrom. But you still have to be able to get that much mana. So it's kind of not a dead draw in your starting hand, but you know, I'd rather have like a Rampant Growth or something. Or a Cultivate. Or a land. It's getting more toward the like condition of like win more, which you don't really want win more cards in your deck. There's lots of cards I could put in here. What are we doing? Who are we attacking? Don't attack me. I guess it doesn't actually matter who he's attacking. But he was able to cast both of them. If it's not your turn, you may exile a green card from your hand rather than pay the spell's mana cost. Destroy up to 2 artifacts or enchantments. All right, what we got? What we got? 7 mana right now. I could Verdant Confluence. Whatever land enters the battlefield. I think I'd rather have Akum for the lands. And then I can hit Maelstrom, who will hopefully get these landfall triggers. And then Verdant Confluence I can use after Maelstrom's out and after I get as many landfall creatures as I can. Alright, let's do that. The safe choice there would have been to play Verdant Confluence. Because then I could just get 3 lands. I go a turn without any blockers. I don't think anyone can kill me next turn. So I would have had a safe turn to do whatever I want. But because we have a forest up, I'm pretty confident we could play Maelstrom next turn. So it's not a huge deal. Harrow is nice, but again, you can't really get things back out of the grave. So sacrificing lands kind of hurts you more than helps. And for 3 mana, I'd rather just play... but you can get any land cards, right? No, just base lands. Because for 3 mana, you could just use Cultivate or whatever. And it gets you 1 land on the field, which is effectively what that's doing, is getting you 1 net land more. But it also puts 1 in your hand. Draw cards equal to the greatest power among non-human creatures you control. Or non-human creatures you control get +3/+3. Draw cards would be nice in this deck. I mean, I can think about that, but I usually just go against putting draw cards in. And the main thing I don't like about my current iteration, Wild Speaker, of Maelstrom, is if I were to play cards, because I really do like Triumph of the Hordes, and I do like things like Overwhelming Stampede, but the problem is the timing triggers is the way this version of the deck works is you don't really play creatures, and if you do, they're not meant to like stick around too long. They're supposed to be just like chump blockers. And basically, you have to assume there's not going to be any creatures by the time I cast Maelstrom. When I do cast Maelstrom, and he's still on the stack, and then Lead the Stampede or something, or Triumph of the Horde, or whatever it's called, hits there, it's going to power up all my creatures, but I'm not going to have any creatures out there. So it's basically a dead cast, and I might as well just throw that card away. Sorry. A part of Cascade is I can put the card that I cast on the bottom of my library instead, and I usually don't want to do that. Yeah. Whenever one or more lands are put into the graveyard from anywhere, draw a card. That's a good one. Are these two just playing the same deck? Because I've only seen him play cards that I would put in a Lord Windgrace deck, which I'm pretty sure I have all those cards in my Lord Windgrace deck. Get Rug Monster. What was the other one he played? Because that was actually a pretty good card. World Shaper. How much mana was that? Is that 4? Yeah. This deck is actually a lot of fun, to be completely honest. There's a lot of fun in this deck. Retreat to Hagra. What I'm missing? Sacrifice, unless you sacrifice a land, you can play an additional land. And whenever one or more lands are put in the graveyard from inner, draw a card. Good choice. You really don't want to let Lord Windgrace get started. Because he'll usually, one of my favorite things to do is do land destruction lands, and then basically just spend the entire game blowing up everybody's lands, locking them out of certain colors, or just locking out certain utility lands. to make sure they never really get a chance to do anything special. And Lord Ringgrace has green, so it's really easy for him to get out super early. He got him out turn 4, but I bet he could have gotten him out earlier if he wanted. Exploration would be a good card. Exploration in my deck. My issue with Exploration by itself in Maelstrom is that if I were to cascade into that turn 10, turn 12, it wouldn't do anything for me. Unless I played a lot of draw effects, which is something I could start doing. Because Maelstrom can actually get some... Oh, come on. That was only meant for me. So I still get Maelstrom. I can still play Verdant Confluence off whatever he hits the next turn around. I could tag him for 7 Commander. So that's fine. But that's the weird balance with Maelstrom. Like, I don't have any take extra turn cards in this deck right now. Let's see. No, not this one. This one. I don't think I have any take extra turn cards. If you notice, like, everything from, like, here to here. No, maybe from here to here is all get extra mana cards. Or cascade into cards that will definitely give me extra mana. I did put Ristic Study in there to get a little more draw. Who's he coming at? There we go. Let's tag this guy for 17. We got it. We can mess him up. Just waiting. Can't do anything. Do we get to see when he exiled? Who cares? Who cares? Is it non-creature? For each non-creature. What is up with all these guys playing these cards? This is a really good card. I just can't put it in my deck right now. They're all playing, like... in Field of the Dead? I don't play Field of the Dead at all in this deck. That is something I could easily add. Could play... 1, 2... So I've got 8, so I can't play them both. But if I can get a good enough cascade off of this... I could just do one of these two and win next turn. That one's okay. I do like that one. That'll give me a couple landfall triggers. Nope, never mind. Hit one of the mana rocks. And I'll tap down. He can only hit 13 next turn, 14 next turn, so I'm going to let him swing at me. I'm just going to swing everything at Jace's face. Do I want to do that? I don't want to hit Laser Man. Let's hit lots of piggies. It's a hug deck. Or Sharon. I don't want to mess anyone specifically up. Alright, let's go. Yep, that's what I thought he would do. Which gives me back my creature. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm still one short to be able to cast both of these. I could win with Triumph for the Horde next turn. Minus Maze of Ith. I could have left Maelstrom up to block this guy so that I could cast him again next turn. I always want to attack with Maelstrom though, because I really want to make sure I get that commander damage out there. Because I can win a lot of games through commander damage. Like just doing overwhelming stampede into him will beat him with commander damage next turn. Not that I want to knock him out right now. I've got no real interest. The more people I have on the board, the easier it is for me to not get targeted. And now we just wait. And wait. And wait. And we'll bring back this. I need to figure out which one of these, basically anything here and over, that I should replace. This card I really, really don't need, but the reason I like him is because he's an extra win condition, which will almost never happen. Because, I mean, how many times are you going to have like 20 artifacts just lying around on the board? But being able to steal, like for example here. What? Why? Oh, because I have an action I'm technically allowed to make. An action I'm technically allowed to take. Like I could steal this, and that's it. That's the only thing I could steal here. So I could take him out. Now, let's see. Up for removal. We've got, I think, acidic slime. For Kogla. Could remove Hellkite Tyrant. I don't want to, but he is an option. Scourge of the Throne, I don't really care about his dethrone ability as much as the second one. Or if I hit the person with the most health, which usually by the time I get Maelstrom out, I've been tagged a couple of times, so I'm not the person with the most health. I don't really care what the person who has the most health has on the board, because I can just swing in and then swing again, and then hopefully Maelstrom dies as part of that. Bane of Progress I don't really like because I run so many artifacts and enchantments in my deck. But this is a lifesaver too. Like, if I can cascade into him right off the bat, and I don't have, like I used to run, which version do I have? Yeah, like I used to run all of these artifacts for Monoramp. But since I took all those out, Bane of Progress doesn't hurt me that bad. I keep trying to figure out if I think See the Unwritten is a win more card or not. Like, I really just don't know. Both of these cards. They just kind of play up the random strategy, but it's so much like, for 6 mana, I usually get, what, 2 creatures of my choice or 4 creatures. Ulvenwald's really good. He really helps with Pathbreak Rybex. Because him alone, usually I have 8 lands, so everything gets +8/+8 and trample. This one's completely unnecessary. I just like this because of you can have so many effects with so many other things, and especially if they have enter the battlefield effects, you get them every turn. So, Avenger of Zendikar, you can just get an Avenger of Zendikar and all those plant tokens every single turn, and all of those landfall triggers. Though the biggest issue I have with the entire deck, this could be gotten rid of. The biggest issue I have with the entire deck is just not being able to get Maelstrom out fast enough. If I could just get to that 8 mana like turn 4, that'd just be so amazing. Like this deck, what I got it to like turn 5, turn 4 or 5 I was playing Maelstrom. So if I could just balance the two. And you really got to balance. Let's say 99% of my deck was mana ramp and 1% was win con. Then you have this problem where when Maelstrom goes off, he's only going to hit mana ramp. He's never going to hit win con. Unless I turn mana ramp into the win con, which is... I just don't like landfall enough to try that out. Just because most of the time landfall is a temporary effect. Let's see, what else could I run? I did need more removal. I do want as many take extra turn cards as I can fit in here. Because it's sometimes fun to like just be like turn 2, I'm going to take an extra turn just so I can get an extra land drop. I'll do that all the time. Cards like this suck. Actually, I might actually take this one out. If they have a really creature-heavy deck, it gets really... What is going on here? Why did they concede? Protean Hawk Cheese. How many experience counters does he have? I don't think he has any experience counters. But he does have a lot of creatures in his graveyard. Hold up. Search your library for any number. Is he about to summon out his entire graveyard or something? Nope. 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 I mean, that's super powerful, but it's not something to quit over. And he only has one experience counter. So he can bring back Spore Frog every turn if he wanted to, which would be pretty good against me. Since I don't win through anything except for combat damage. A way I used to play this deck, which would be cool to bring back, is a lot of enter the battlefield triggers. So you would run Warstorm Surge, which deals damage based on a creature's power when they enter the battlefield, and Closet Door, I think, which allows you to, at the end of your turn, flicker a creature. And so you just use those two to deal like, you might use like Malignus or something, so then it'll deal like 20 damage a turn. The problem with that is cards like Humility, wiping out all the enchantments, doing all these other things, like really just belittle the whole deck. Like if someone plays Humility, I might as well just quit the game because there's nothing I can do about it. I used to put all of my effects and all of my removal on my creatures. Which that's a good point. Maybe I should start looking into doing that as well. Because I am replacing Acidic Slime with Kogla. I don't really have much like casting removal, even though I could do like I just had it up here. Nature's Claim and stuff like that. I could run counter cards. I don't really like running counter cards overall. What we got? What do we have? What can we do? I could cast both of these. Best case scenario, I cast Triumph of the Horde. I get an 8 6. I don't really care. I just need their power. I could get away with playing Verdant Confluence and Explosive Vegetation. I think no matter what, he'll be able to block through all the damage. So let me try. Sorry, if I play both of these, I get 8, 11. Overwhelming Stampede, I get 16 plus another 8. So he can block, and he can block the other one. And he can always sacrifice this to do. Okay, so I'll do green, blue. I don't need any blue or red. Because I could just have him chump block. Uh, Jared. Gerard. Um, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I could do green, blue, green. Sure, why not? I don't really want to return anything to my hands. Don't want to put +1/+1 counters. I just want more lands. So let's get a green, a blue, and a red. Just in case. And then I'm going to keep everything up for blocking. Another option I have is to start running equips. Which again, I don't really like equips because one, you have to spend the mana to equip them. But there is some very powerful. One that used to get run pretty commonly with Maelstrom Wanderer is I think it's called Mage Blade. I think that's the end of my turn. I could do, wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15. And my hand costs 8, 13. So I could cast out my entire hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, I got plenty. I could cast my entire hand next turn. And deal, let's see, 7, 8. Yeah, I should be able to knock out Jace Face next turn. No, again, because he's got the Spore Frog, I can't do anything. So I need to rely on this guy to be able to get rid of Spore Frog. But even if he does, he can just keep bringing him back. And I don't know if I have any removal in this deck. I could use Royal Elemental on it. That would be kind of funny. Destroy up to 6 non-land permanents, then create 6. Oh man, what do we got? What's the best case scenario here? Yield through this turn. Best case scenario, what could I do? Another way to get around my draw problems is by running like Echo of Aeons, like Time Spiral or whatever it was called. Where basically like you shuffle everything that you own into your library and then you draw 7 cards. And that way once I get that crazy amount of mana, I don't really have to cast Maelstrom anymore. But right now I'm treating Maelstrom more like I don't need to draw cards because I'm casting things out of my deck. Let's see. What? Okay. Oh, okay. You can only do one per. Okay, no, that's fair. I thought you could destroy 2 permanents. I was like, are you serious? Get rid of that spore frog. Get rid of something. Alright, so he sacrificed it instead. And he's just gonna bring it back out. Yeah, he can just bring it back out next turn. Can he only bring it back one thing at a time? At the beginning of your end step, choose a creature card. Okay, so he can only bring back one thing at a time. So that's why I need Spore Frog gone. Cards like this is another way I could get to 8 mana. What? Sarkhan's Unsealing. Whenever you cast a creature spell with 4, 5, or 6, Sarkhan's Unsealing deals 4 damage to any target. Okay, that's pretty good. Not really, that's okay. Like, I'm not going to be casting that too often. Whenever you cast a creature spell with 7 or greater, it deals 4 damage to each opponent and each creature and planeswalker they control. It feels like a win more card. Whenever a non-token creature enters the battlefield under your control, flip a coin until you lose a flip. For each flip you won, create a creature that's a copy of that creature. Create a token that's a copy of that creature. Those tokens gain haste, exile them. That's kind of neat, actually. Ooh, a saga. Kiora Best the Sea God. Create an 8/8 blue token creature with hexproof. Tap all permanents target opponent controls. They don't untap. Cool. Gain control of target opponent, or gain control of a permanent target opponent controls. Cool. Yeah, he just comes back. So I can't kill him this turn. I don't have any removal, so I can't do anything about Spore Frog. So I'm just going to keep building up mana and building up a hand until I can do something. I can tell this game's going to drag on. I'll get a blue and a red. And then pass turn. Not really much I can do. Lurking Predators is another one I really liked. Lurking Predators works really well if this is an all creature deck. No, not really many enchantments, not really anything else. Erratic Portal. Oh. Return target creature card to its owner's hand unless they pay 1 mana. That's kind of neat. It's just like the one I have. Except it costs 1 extra to play, but it's one of any color mana instead of... sorry, I used Crystal Shard, I think it's called. Put in every deck. Except that one, apparently. Yeah, Crystal Shard. Where you have to pay 3 of any color or pay blue. And sometimes that does get in my way, so maybe Erratic Portal would be better. So let's do Crystal Shard for Erratic Portal. And you use that to bounce Maelstrom back to your hand so that you can recast them for 8 mana. Guided Passage is really good. Reveal the cards in your reveal the cards in your library. An opponent chooses from among them a creature, land, non-creature, and non-land. You put the chosen cards in your hand. I used to run that. They always give you the worst cards. Back when I would play all creatures, there wasn't really a bad choice for me. So that kind of worked out really well. But... Oh, really? Why is everyone conceding? I mean, that Spore Frog's gonna suck. So that's a good reason to concede. Oh my gosh. Oh, that's powerful. That's a really cool card. I always like cards like that. Where you just count up the cards in all the graveyards. And he just sacrificed it for what? Health? Oh, I lose. That's cool. Nice. Good game. I was not expecting that. What did that? Was that just a... Oh, is that just on him? Wow. Why didn't I read that before? That is kind of weird. Alright. So now I'll show my other deck. Play testing. There's Melstrom 10. Oh, 10 is illegal right now. Because I need to get rid of a card. I feel like Acidic Slime's the best thing to get rid of. The cool thing about Acidic Slime in Ilarg, and a lot of these cards in Ilarg, is the fact that I could just keep getting the enter the battlefield effect over and over. Let's create. Alright. Vivian's Invocation. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. You may put a creature card from among them on the battlefield. Put the rest on the bottom of your library in any order. When a creature is put on the battlefield this way, it deals damage equal to its power to target creature and opponent controls. Don't like it. 7 mana, 1 creature versus See the Unwritten, which is 2 creatures. Most of the time for me, it's going to be 2 creatures when I play See the Unwritten. You don't get the damage effect, but you do get 2 creatures. Well, I guess it is better because of that. You do get to do the damage. And then you also have, what's the other card I really like? The Will of the Council card. Sylvanas Stampede. I do like Sylvanas Stampede. Jokel Hops. Classic Maelstrom. It's perfect for Maelstrom. I just really do not like destroying lands. I'll destroy anything else. I'll blow up everything else. I don't care about anything else. Just lands I don't like to get rid of because I feel like it just ruins the game for everybody. And if for some reason you can't win right there after doing that, then you basically just drag the game out forever. And people just get annoyed. Decimate I really like. Destroy target artifact, target creature, target land, and target enchantment. Problem with that, you have to have a valid target for all 4 when you cast it. And if any of those targets go away, then I think the entire spell fizzles. So it basically has a lot of weaknesses. Like, it does a lot of damage for 4 mana, but I personally think it has a lot of weaknesses. And especially when you can randomly cascade into it, and maybe there aren't enough targets, it could just waste the cascade. Alright, who are we up against next? None of these names seem familiar. There's one card I saw yesterday I really liked. It was a creature, I believe, where all of your lands tap for triple mana. Nyx Bloom Ancient. I was really liking that card. No, no, we don't have any green mana, so mulligan. Green mana. So 1, 2. I'm a keep, but this is a very dangerous hand. Because I could be stuck at 2 mana for the rest of the game. I do get the benefit of scrying. And I don't necessarily have to miss a land drop for 3 turns, but it's very likely I won't be able to play Kadama's Reach in time. And I don't lose a card, which is nice. So let's try it. Nyx Bloom Ancient, I really just like that card. So let's keep that. Solemn Simulacrum I like. You draw the card, you get the free lands. I'll think about putting that back in. I think my problem was I kept finding really cool, powerful cards to put in, and I felt like I kept getting mana flooded, so I kept removing a lot of the cards. And then I kept that mindset of, oh, but I always get mana flooded, even though I wasn't dealing with that problem anymore. To the point where now it's actually difficult for me to scale when I need to scale early. Goreclaw, Terror of Kalsama. Good luck, all. Had a fun last game with Gerard and Lord of Extinction. Alright, I want to put this in so that I give myself as many opportunities to hit a land off a Temple of Abaddon, Abandon. Alright, let's see. Creature spells you cast with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast. Whenever he attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 in trample. So a big downside of my deck right now is outside of Pathbreaker Ibex with this version of the deck. This is not the mana ramp version. This is like my best iteration that I've created of this deck. The problem with it is that basically none of my creatures have trample, and I fixed it a couple of ways in the past with things like well, she doesn't even seem to be on this list, but I think Sirach Dragonclaw makes everything uncounterable, and I believe it gives all creatures trample. All of my creatures trample. Trample. Like, I think I had Sirach Dragonclaw in here. Sirach. Oh, don't I have him in here? This is another one I could bring back. I really do like him. This is a good way to get around drawing and needing a little bit extra draw power. Alright, what is his name? Sirach. Other creatures you control have trample. He's got a lot of cool abilities, but I don't know. I just don't feel like I deal with countering that often. When I do finally run into it, I wish I had him, but again, in a 100-card deck with no real fetching other than Tooth and Nail, I just don't really feel like I worry too much about that. About, ooh, if only I had this card in my deck. Okay, so I have enough. So I'm gonna play this now since it comes into play tapped. See if I can land a land. One, two, three. Play Kodama. Next turn I'm gonna be playing circuitous route. I don't think I need scroll rack anymore. I think I'd rather have a land. And then at any point after I play these two, I can pop Myriad Landscape, and I'm pretty sure that'll put me at 8 by that turn. Because I'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. And that happens in 1, 2. So turn 5, I should be casting Maelstrom. Let's look at their commanders. Ever since uh, Breath of the Wild and that deer up in the mountain, I've always liked these big glowing deers and all that keep getting added to games. No, no. Wait. Okay, so he's the companion and the commander. No card in your starting deck has more than one of the same mana symbol in the mana cost. This can't be spent to pay generic mana cost. That's a pretty rough. I mean, it'll. So if you have a card that needs all 5 of those, this is amazing. Anything less is kind of not. This number of opponents that were dealt damage this turn. That's kind of neat. So lots of draw. Oh, so he could use it to just activate all of these if he wanted to. That's kind of neat. And then at the beginning of at the beginning of your combat on your turn, put a -1/-1 counter on to one target creature. Huh. With any kind of counter on it. It doesn't have to be a -1/-1 counter. Very interesting. So the interesting thing of this guy is that he has the same problem I was talking about earlier with you're sort of relying on everybody else's cards, but you actually don't have to if you put powerful cards in your deck too. So that's actually kind of cool. In a way, and sorry, like one of the ways I've seen that happen is uh like I have Shieldred, who its a whole thing is reanimation. What it used to do is it reanimated everyone else's creatures out of their graves because those cards are cheaper in like real life money, and so it was just easier to like create a deck around that. But the inherent issue that comes along with that is if everyone else is playing weak decks or only one person's playing super strong creatures, then it's basically pointless. Boom, 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 boom. I need blue. And I'll grab another green. Alright. The next turn I play Circuitous Root and Temple of the False God. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So then the next turn I can cast. Well, I can cast both of these next turn, maybe. Right? No, maybe not. But, so yeah, turn 5 I'll be casting my commander. And the cool version of this deck is the fact that when I cast my commander, it should be hitting all of these cards instead. Because I put so many cards versus the mana ramp deck where it's... And I just don't feel like it's as many. And I feel like a lot of these are like... Not this guy. Like this guy, it's just like, okay, I hit him, but I'm not hitting any landfall, so who cares? He doesn't really do anything. He's just like a 4/4 flyer. Versus, you know, this current deck, I could be hitting Drakaseth, who's going to be swinging for 10 damage, and on top of that, or he's swinging to deal 7, but he, as a part of his attack, deals 10 damage. So I could just be hitting everybody for damage, or I can remove some of the stuff on the board. Like, all of these are worthwhile, except maybe Sphinx Ambassador. I don't like the fact that the creature comes out later, and usually it's only beneficial if they have good creatures in their deck, so I might just, like, straight up remove that card. I talked myself into putting it back in. I had a couple of very nice successes with it, where I could get, like, Massacre Worm or Massacre Girl. Oh my gosh, Massacre Girl in this game is so good. Most people have, like, 0/1 tokens, 1/1 tokens, and then Massacre Girl basically just wipes the board off that chain. If you don't know, I think she's like a 2/2 or something. When she comes into play, everything gets -1/-1. If anything dies to that effect, you lay down a -1/-1 again on all creatures, and it just keeps going until it stacks up, and usually you can wipe the board with it. One time he had like a 0/1 creature, like 2/2/2s, and someone else had like a 4/4, and I was able to pull a Massacre Worm out, blew up their whole board, and I got to keep Melstrom. So all of my creatures could still swing. Or maybe Melstrom was still, I got no idea. Deadeye Navigator and the Whale. What is that thing called? Palinchron or any one of those other ones where you can just constantly just flicker it and untap cards. It's a great combo. I think it's just cheap, and I think it takes forever. I don't like doing an MTGO because you actually have to act out putting everything, whereas if you're sitting at a table with people, you can be like, can we all just agree I have infinite mana? Or some arbitrarily high number of mana. Amount of mana. So there's some things I just don't put in out of, like, sort of principle, and some things I don't put in out of, like, it just takes too much effort. Dockside Extortionist I want to use. I really do like all these Enter the Battlefield effects. Like, I really am into these Enter the Battlefield effects. And Deadeye Navigator and all these other cards are really good for that. I did, ooh, maybe it'll be in the artifact section. Artifacts. Nope. It's if an ability would cause something to trigger it, or if an Enter the Battlefield effect caused it to trigger, it would trigger again. I'm trying to remember what that's called. But that was so good for it. But I just never got to a point where I could actually, like, use that. Like, you would get all these, like, if you got the setup, like, I would find myself taking extra turns to just be like, I would get, let me see if I can find them. Like, I would get Warstorm Surge, where it's whenever a creature enters the battlefield, it deals damage equal to its power. You would get, I think it's Palin. Chrome? No, that's the whale thing. Enter the battlefield, triggers twice. Panharmonicon, that's what it is. Panharmonicon, if an artifact or creature entering the battlefield would cause any one of your other permanents to trigger, then it would trigger that effect twice. And then so I could do Warstorm Surge twice. It would be amazing, except you'd end up in a position where I'd be like, okay, Warstorm Surge. Okay, I don't want to cast my commander yet because I want to still do Panharmonicon, so that's a whole other turn. And then now, 3 turns later, I finally cast my commander. During that whole time, the cards get blown up, they get messed up. Or what if I play Palinchron, Warstorm Surge, play my commander, and then somebody Nature's claims my Warstorm Surge, the whole thing falls apart, and there's no point in having any of those cards. Because they're all kind of win more. and I wasn't really doing anything. And to be fair, I've won off of those effects too with like Malignus. Where his power and toughness are equal to to half of the highest life total among my opponents rounded up. So generally in Commander, that means you have a 20-20 line around, and if I could trigger Warstorm Surge twice off of that, I could get someone out of the game. And yeah, so I mean, there were times where I could just outright win with these like weird little combos, but I feel like the cards themselves don't do enough separate or synergistically with all the other cards in my deck to actually do anything. So Malignus was really good because he could do with Pathbreaker Ibex, so he would give all my creatures 20-20 and trample. Um, Once everyone started getting low, Malignus stops being useful. I mean, 5 mana for a 3/3, 5 mana for a 5/5. It just, who cares? Um, Now there's a lot of really fun cards I used to put in this deck. Another one I really liked was I think it's Tyrant of Discord. This one is like a heartbreaker card. I loved this card. When he enters the battlefield, I choose a permanent, and then they basically have to randomly sacrifice one of their permanents. If a non-land permanent is sacrificed that way, then I get to do it again. And I just keep doing it over and over and over. Um, Generally speaking, though, it almost always hits the... Oh my gosh, do I want to pay for this? Yeah, I'm not paying for this. I'd rather have my land, to be honest. Which person is getting this? So he gets infinite mana, and he gets to draw basically as many cards as you want. I'm not going to pay for it this time. Actually, I almost never pay for it. I'm not even going to lie. I almost never pay for that. I was like, screw it. Have what you want. So I'm going to grab a blue and a red. Because I can play a green this turn. One, two, three, four, five, six, seven, eight. So I can just play my commander next turn. As was predicted. Oh, and I could just play Temple of the False God. And I'd have 9 mana instead. Is there someone scratching at my door? Get rid of some of these tabs. Why would I rather have the land? Which land? Which land would I rather have? Oh, versus having Smothering Tide? Because I don't want to give him mana, and I'd rather have enough for my commander this turn. Why am I being yelled at? Alright. I think there's an animal yelling at me outside. What? What? What do you want? Get out of my room. No one invited you. Here. You wanna go hang out outside? You wanna hang out looking out the window? There you go. Look out the window. Oh, it's about to rain. Alright, let's see what we got here. No, get out of here. None of y'all was at my door. Get out of here. Wait, who is it? Sharon? You trying to hang out, Sharon? Hi, Queen. How are you? How are you, Queen? Come here. Come here. 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 Come here. Come on. Ugh. Come here, you big baby. Come here, you big baby. You're such a big old baby. Look at the big baby. Queen. Look. 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 Wait, look. Fine. Be that way. I don't like you that much anyway. Here you go. You lay down. Alright, what we got going? Does that do damage to everybody? No, he pays his own life, and then... He draws that much cards. Alright, cool. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can do 8, 9. Then I can... Simba does not love me. Cats don't love people. Let's all be clear. Cats have a... What's the word? You feed them. It's like codependence. Like, it's just, you feed them, and then, like, what would we call them? People who rely on cats for company because they might have a tough time making friends. Feed them, and then they have this codependence. Okay, that was extremely rude. I would rather not discard my hand, but chances are I'll hit a land, so I'm cool with that. Look at this cat. You think you just own the house, don't you? You think this is your place? It's not. This is not your house. Stop smelling the curtains, you weirdo. Alright, what we got? I think I see why he did that. So I have a couple of ways. 1, 2. So I have 7. I play him, I go down to 4. I can play 2, I go up to 6. No, I think I'd rather just play my commander. I'd much rather have my commander. No, I don't cuddle the cat. Again, cats don't have feelings, they don't have emotion, they don't love anybody. I happen to be warm when I'm asleep, and cats like warmth, so they cuddle up. The cat cuddles up to me. What are you doing? Get out of here. Later. See ya. Goodbye. You guys gonna look at the pupper? There's the pupper, and there's the weights nobody uses. Queen. Hi. How are you? How are you doing? You're a cutie. You're the cutest pupper. Come here. You're the cutest pupper. You're so happy. There's nobody happier in the entire world. Because you're a cute pupper. I love you. See, dogs are compassionate. They care. There's stories of them saving babies. There's stories of them rescuing animals from houses and kids from houses. And they're companions and their families. All dogs go to heaven. Never heard that about cats. Let's all be clear. Hey, what are you doing? Stop playing with each other. You're supposed to be mortal enemies. You're a good pupper, though. You're a very good pupper. Alright, let's get back into it. Because this is taking forever. I love watching the stack resolve. Right click, yield until end of turn. There we go. Just give him infinite mana, nobody cares. I mean, is he gonna respond to this? Like, what does he have? Alright, let's go. Let's get this going. Now he's got 19, 20, 21 mana. What does it say? Each non-land card... Oh, this is a card I'm supposed to put in my Maelstrom deck. Each non-land card in your graveyard has escape. The escape cost is equal to the card's mana cost, plus exile 3 other cards in your graveyard. Except you have to sacrifice. Okay, so you only get to do that for 1 turn. If I cascade into that, it's kind of worthless. If I cast it myself, though, I could get some of these cards out, which would be super cool. Like, for example, if I were to play Rampant Growth, which is 2 mana, I were to play Kadama's Reach, which is 3 mana, I play this, let's say turn 5 or 6, I could just recast both of those out. But you still have to exile 3 cards, and I don't usually have, like, this game. Only these 2 cards I actually put there. Everything else got thrown into there. So I would never be able to cast this card. Okay. Why do you pay 5 mana for that? Oh, did he think he had to pay mana for that? Instead of life? Either way, why did he pay 5? The highest toughness on the board was 3. I've got no idea. I've got no idea what's going on. Oh, but he's doing that again. Okay. Wait a second. Uh-oh. I think he actually goes infinite here. Never mind. I figured out what was going on. Not Underworld Dreams. That's what it's called. Underworld Breach. Yeah, I don't think he loses those cards when he does that. I think Escape, it goes back to the graveyard. Which means he can do this infinitely. If a card with Escape is in your graveyard, you cast it. Escapes provide an alternate cost with 2 components: the amount of money you have to pay and the number of cards you have to exile from the graveyard. Escape doesn't change when you cast the spell. Yeah, it returns to the owner's graveyard. Which means he can do that infinitely. Sorry, the infinite component of this is... No. So every card in his graveyard has Escape. He uses Windfall to make us all discard our hand and draw cards. Whenever we draw cards, we have to pay mana, which none of us have mana open to do. He gets these treasures, they give him mana. So he can basically just keep casting Windfall over and over, as long as he continues to put cards in his graveyard. Which, because all of us have 6 cards in hand, he'll never go down in number of cards. If you draw a card in your library, yep. That is a win. Good game. Underworld. Smothering Tower. Jace equals win. Well, and Windfall. Concede. Good game, everybody. Like, infinite combos like this, I really don't like watching be played. I don't think I can, as an instant, concede. I have to wait until, they have to wait. There we go. Now I can get on to the next match. Let's see here. 4-player, upper level casual, no restrictions, no levers. Sounds like fun. I don't even think I cast my commander that game. That is an inherent flaw with this deck, is the fact that because I'm usually waiting until somewhere between turn 4 and turn 8 to cast my commander, situations do come along where people can win the game turn 3 and 4, and I have nothing I can do about it. No response. Kevin from Ohio. Nope, I don't think I've played against any of these people before. What y'all got? So I can cast Sakura well, I could do Sylvan Library. Play this, play that, keep. Sylvan Library is such a great, like, it doesn't actually ramp your mana, but it guarantees that you're going to hit your drops. And it gives you a higher chance of hitting your ramp, too. So that's actually really nice. Even though this is like a $50 card that I still have to put in my actual deck. Sylvan Library. $66. That's not the only version of it though. I'm pretty sure you can get it as low as like 30 to 50, 30, 40 bucks. The store I went to, I think they said it was going to be 50. So I can't play Soccer Tribal or turn 2, which bothers me. Because I would if I could, instead of Sylvan Library. Sorry, I could play that. Problem is I want to make sure I hit my land drops every turn. No, because that wouldn't make sense. Okay, so I play a forest on my first turn. I play a forest my first turn. Hit Soul Ring. I could play them both if I get 2 green mana. This is just an insta-win card. If I do Pathbreaker, Ibex, Maelstrom, and Avenger of Zendikar, I can generally knock everybody out of the game. At the beginning of each of your main phases. Oh, okay. He's still only get it once per turn. Good luck, everyone. How are your days going? Alright, so I'm going to do the ultimate start in... Not the ultimate. The good start in Commander. The ultimate start would be hitting this to hit a mono rock, to hit another mono rock. Going in on like 5 mana turn 2. So now I have a choice between Sylvan Library or Soccer Tribe Elder. I feel like the Tribe Elder is the better way to go. Let me think. No, Sylvan Library. If I do Soccer Tribe Elder, I can do Sylvan Library the next turn. If I do Sylvan Library, then next turn I could find myself a land. I don't have any islands, bro. Hey, hit up this grasslands guy. Alright, whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on her. Whenever she dies... Oh, it doesn't even say the full name. Usually it says the full name. When Alinda, any Alinda, it doesn't matter who, Alinda dies, creates X11, where that's her power. Okay. think I'd rather had Edgar Markov, to be honest. I do like Edgar Markov. Untap each enchanted permanent you control. Okay. Create a white aura enchantment named Mask attached to another target permanent. That has enchants. Wait, that token has enchant permanent. Oh, okay. And totem armor. Put the top 7. Wait, so you create an enchantment. It makes it an enchant permanent. So does that mean it's now an enchantment creature? Or is enchant permanent like a enchant permanent MPG? Or is it just an aura? Is that what it's saying? Oh, okay. Because all auras say enchant permanent. Okay, I see. Has enchant permanent and totem armor. Put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard. Return all non-aura. Alright, my turn. I think I am stuck on Sylvan Library. Can't not do Sylvan Library. That is my choice. Because the next turn with Sylvan Library, I should be able to play. Ugh. Either one would have been a good choice, I think. Anyway, back to it. Put the top 7 cards of your library into your graveyard. Return all non-aura enchantment cards from your graveyard to the battlefield. Then do the same for aura cards. That could be pretty good, especially in green, white, blue. Imagine Beastmaster Ascension and True Conviction at the same time. That would be hilarious. Alright. When he enters the battlefield, create a 4/4 green, white rhino. I don't necessarily like... Okay, well, let's see. When he attacks, populates, they enter tapped in text. So that's pretty good. I don't generally like these commanders who just, like, they enter the battlefield and that's just it. They, like, create a token or they just do something real quick. But I guess that's a little bit better. So far, so good. Clean the house, and now I'm playing MTG. Could you ask for a better day? Actually, legit, I want to be playing Minecraft Dungeons. I love me some Minecraft Dungeons. Shut up. Alright. Ooh, I got Nature's Lore. That's nice. Put that on top. Put that on top. So I can use Nature's Lore to grab a forest. Yeah, sure. And then use the forest to grab a island. Any day now. Don't worry about it. Take your time. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I can use that. Hopefully Sylvan Library hits me with another... So I can use Sylvan Library. Sylvan Library to guarantee that I get the Sensei's Divining Top, then use Sensei's Divining Top with my leftover mana to guarantee that I get a land the next... Oh, wait. I can use Sensei's Divining Top to actually get me a land for my land drop next turn. Since the 2 cards I put back weren't lands. Okay. So yeah, we could do that. And if I don't hit a land, then I just won't tap Sensei's Divine Top. Anyway, that works. Now they can do whatever, because I don't care. I want to play Minecraft Dungeons. It's scratching that Diablo itch. What? Who's winning? True. Big fan of winning. I just need to playtest this so I can destroy a buddy at MTG night. Yeah, this guy's a tryhard. He plays Golos and Super Friends, so you know I gotta take him down a peg. I mean that's just my duty. That's my duty as a friend, is to do that. Gift of Paradise. Okay. He's creating a lot of mana, but for what? Okay, see, you can draw cards. That's a good reason to create a lot of mana. How do you like Alinda versus Edgar Markov? Big fan of my man Edgar. Oh, and he just made it this morning. Who is this? Chant decks are fun. The win cons can come from nowhere. Like, I really do like, so there's like a series of enchantments that basically say you can't attack unless you pay a certain amount. But then they also have, and I think all of the cards that do that are in Estrid's colors. And it'll be like, I think it's like Propaganda or something. I'm trying to remember them all, but like one's like you have to cast 2. Another one is you cast a certain amount based on how many creatures are attacking, I think. And then another one is based on the number of enchantments you have. Alright, what do we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I don't have anything in my graveyard yet, so I don't need to use that just yet. I could do Shardless. So let's put this back and this back. Shardless won't get me anything useful. 1, 2, 3. Then 1, 2. He would have to get me 2. It would have to get me 2 things. So I'm just going to not take a gamble and just grab 2 mana. 1 blue and 1 red. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh wait, where did my Sensei's Dividing Top go? I think I missed something. Whoops. Alright, what are they saying? It's all about the counters in this deck. Like 4 creatures that can come into play with X amount of counters. Uzulith artifact to keep those counters. So what is Uzulith? I think I actually have that. Nope, I do not have whatever that is. That is a cool art. See, like, this art looks really cool, but this art, whew, now that's attractive. Look at that. See, it's got the gray. It's got the. We don't need it. We don't need it. We need the full art. Here we go. Whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, if it had counters on it, put those counters on him instead. Okay. Okay. So any kind of counters, I guess. At the beginning of combat on your turn, if the Uzlith has counters on it, you may move all of them onto target creature. If this were Yu-Gi-Oh, this would be the coolest thing ever. Because in Yu-Gi-Oh, you could basically get whatever card you want whenever you want it, no problem. Problem with doing that in Magic is you need a lot of fetch cards to be able to do something like that. And white, blue, and green. I don't know if they have a lot of fetch cards for artifacts. I mean, blue can fetch artifacts, obviously. White can sometimes do that. Do not like blind obedience. No siree. It kind of defeats the purpose of giving everything haste. Whenever an enchantment you control is put into the graveyard, put a +1/+1 on him. Ooze left to keep the counters, plus a nice 1-drop, 1-equip artifact for Elena that doubles her effectiveness, and some creatures to help proliferate all those counters. Oh, he was saying that. My bad. This guy was saying it. I don't think white or black has a way to really... I mean, black has a lot of tutors that you can use to look for artifacts, but I still don't like the idea of having one artifact that you're trying to get the entire game. Like, even Sheoldred, like, yeah, I would really like to get Urborg and Cabal Coffers, but I don't make it my sole duty to go get those. Like, I try to make sure my deck functions without it, which it doesn't. You basically need something to double your mana, or else you're going to get outscaled quick. I don't know. Alright, let's see what we got. Tavasa. Hopefully he just passes turn, because I'd rather not get smacked. I could play Omnath. Omnath is nice because he, you don't really mind too much if he gets board wiped, because of his, you deal 3 damage for each elemental or him that dies. So it's really nice just to get him out and just get a bunch of lands out. That's nice. Wow. Down to 5. But I still have a little more ramping I can do. Assuming Charlotte's Agent actually hits a ramp. Because I can only hit like rampant growth and something else. So let's see. What are you going to hit for me, buddy? What you got for me? Okay. Okay. Alright. No problem from me. I'm a big fan. Big fan. Let's just go ahead and get rid of all these cards. Don't need any of those. Yeah, I don't care. I probably should care, but I don't care. I'm instead going to care about this, which gives me a Farseek. One, two, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Oh, you can't even get one, so I guess blue. Any day now. Take your time. I don't want to rush you. Rushing you is the least that I want to do right now. Bring that back up. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7. Unless any player pays 2 mana, search your library for a card, and then put that card in your hand. There we go. There we go. You got it. You got it. Yeah, Kevin. Get it. Pay that mana. Show unskilled who is boss. So I could play Sphinx Ambassador. Really think I should get rid of it. The other issue I have with Sphinx Ambassador, so you attack somebody, so that means your combat phase is over. The fact that he attacked means that your battle phase or your combat phase is over. Then you try to pull out a creature. You have to have a creature that can somehow impact the board because you don't want to grab a nice creature that requires it to attack or requires it to do something extra, or you need to pay a certain amount of mana in colors you don't have. So the problem with Sphinx Ambassador is just the fact that if it wasn't if you could pull the creature out before you attacked, then I have all kinds of things that could just buff up a 1/1. I don't really care. But because it's after you attack, you really have to stick to very specific kinds of creatures that nobody runs. Yeah, if you're going against a mono black deck, you got Kukasho, you've got Massacre Worm, Massacre Girl, you've got Malakir Blood Witch for who cares? Just things that enter the battlefield and deal something, do something, get you some kind of life. Um, but not every deck runs cards like that. I've seen more of a shift recently toward really really weak cards. Because either it's a Voltron commander, so it doesn't really matter. They're not going to really have other creature cards in their deck. Or a lot of people are going to play, like, I think it's called Alesha, who, like, their whole thing is to get creatures with power 2 or less. Just so many creatures where it's just like, you don't really want to gamble. And then on top of that, there's also the extra condition of they can still guess what you picked. Let me close the door. They can also guess what you picked. And then the problem with that situation becomes, uh, you just don't get anything out of it. You can also get the gods out of it, the enchantment gods that are indestructible. So it's sort of nice, but I don't know. Okay, I was playing game. One dude was running away with the board. Other two guys were doing nothing but trying to boom. I managed to get Sarah Sinan out on turn 2 to put the heat on lead player. I lose Sarah eventually. Get my commander out with Mask of Card Draw. Mask of Card Draw. Elena is only a 1/1. Gonna hit dude who had no creatures to see if they get the card from a lead control player. Then he decided to nuke Elena and deny my card draw, despite dude with everything on board right next to him. Some people come in here as partners, and sometimes people have no understanding of threat analysis. I mean, removal is good. Alright, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Let's try this. So we attack at Kevin. Sorry, Kevin, you get the most life. Did the runaway guy win? Probably. Yeah, collusion is not good. I scoop because why bother trying to help keep a game even? Alright. Then I play Temporal Mastery. Which he could counter if he wanted to. He's only got 2 cards in hand, though. I don't know if he has a counter lying around. Then I can do this. But the only cards that are going to be on top of my library right now are the ones I got rid of before. So I'm going to highly doubt I'm going to get anything good out of this. Oh, wait. Never mind. I lied. Here we go. Boom. And then pass turn. Am I misreading cards here? Put that many cards on top of your library. Oh, it's because I Farseek. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna hold up playing a land, which I don't always do. I always forget that I should do that. 1, 2. Tap a red. Let's get the commander out here. I would like to play Devastation Tide right now. Okay. Again, all the same problems I said before, though. Chain reaction could work here. Oh, that's right. I put those cards on top. I need to get better at this game. Cast on Sphinx Ambassador. Might as well. And at this point, there's not really much point in holding up mana. Alright, so let's start handing out lumps. We're going to give... We're going to send at least one this way. And then the other two, we're going to get these guys. This is a hug deck. I don't attack unnecessarily. Twitch.tv. Alright, let's see here. What do I got? What you got? What you got for me? Come on. Gimme, 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 gimme. What we got? I held this up so that I could chump block. Because I feel like 2 damage just isn't really worth swinging in with. Your hugs hurt a lot. Bear hug. Alright, what we got? So this is where I gotta look for big impact cards that I don't necessarily need to attack with, because any one of these guys could wipe the board, since they're all running white. Alright, so I can pick any card, but only creatures give me an ability. So I kind of wish they would have sorted this by creatures. So no massacre. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what in here are creatures, so I gotta look through every single card. I know that's not a creature. Nobody died this turn. Oh, he does have Erratic Portal. That's neat. Does this guy have any creatures? Okay, that might be my go-to. Nah. Honestly, I might just grab him. I do like Shieldred, but I think he's gonna guess Shieldred. Yeah, I know. My timer's almost up. I'm sorry. Okay, so we're just gonna grab Shieldred. And then we'll let him guess. Whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the cards are in this deck. I'm not hard pressed. Oh, did he guess it? Yeah, he did. Alright. Good guess. Good guess. Good guess. Should have solemn simulacrum. Alright, now I gotta go through here and find something. There's too much work. I bet he's got... That's not the one. Oh yeah, I bet he's got this. There's no way he's not gonna guess that. Like, there's no way. Uh, I have him as a commander. I couldn't not pick him. Ah! He got it. No. Oh man, good guesses. All right, so that's a good reason for me to never play this card again. Okay, bastard. Oh man, I want to get rid of this card anyway. Most people don't play a lot of OP creatures anymore. Alright, so we'll do Def get rid of. And I still have a Devastation Tide I could pop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, my B. Let me tap, tap. Then we can move on. I mean, I feel like I would rather have like Clever Impersonator in this deck more than Sphinx Ambassador. Because in most scenarios, you're like stealing something from your opponent. But at least with Clever Impersonator, it doesn't always work this way because sometimes they just don't have anything on the field. But the fact that you can also clone a what are they called? No possible play YOLO. The fact that you can clone artifacts and enchantments is also really, really nice. And sometimes you just want to clone certain enchantments. And it's better than having like a creature that has all the weaknesses of having a creature on the field. Sphinx's Ambassador. It's a good card, but like my buddy plays a Planeswalkers deck that I think the only creature it probably has is Deepskate Glow. Um, he also plays Slivers. I mean, what am I going to do with stealing Slivers? I mean, sure, yeah, I could grab a powerful Sliver that has a pretty nice effect, but for the most part, it's based on Slivers, so I'd be much better just having a better card that can be hit instead of Sphinx. Except the token isn't legendary. That's a really cool card. Because obviously he's going to put it on his commander. And then he can attack with both, populate both. Now swinging at me for what? 4, or he can swing it on anyone for 12, 16. Who's he going after? Not me. Oh, he created a copy of his commander. Were they all coming at me? I thought they said they weren't. Alright, I mean, I should just block one of these guys. But I thought those things come into... Whenever he attacks, populate. The token enters the battlefield tapped and attacking. Alright, let's see. We're going to do... Could swing all at him. We could bounce everything back to him. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Oh, and they stick around? That's a little bit annoying. 1, 2, 5, 10. So I could just cast both of these. So let's try that. Actually, that works. Put onto the battlefield. And I could grab myself some green mana. And then I do... all in, attacking at Redwin. Is that what I want to do, though? Oh, did I already attack? Alright, that's fine then. No, that's completely fine. I'd rather Melstrom not die here, I think is my biggest point. Wait, so he's going to take the hit for another 7 commander damage? I don't really care that she's getting +1/+1 counters. Let's grab a green and a red. Alright, what can I actually grab here? What would I want? I need something that I'm okay with bouncing back to hand. Oh, I could do acidic slime. Okay, so let's start with acidic slime. And Kiki Jiki. I do like that, actually. He definitely has to have the Zealous conscripts in here. Or something like that. Because he's running Kiki Jiki, Splinter Twin. He's definitely got something in here that lets him do stuff. Oh, wait. What are all these doing? I feel like I should just grab this guy and get myself some lands. Let's do that. I'm gonna grab this guy and see what he names. I just want to see what he's going to name. It's a good choice. I was thinking about it, but because I know I'm about to balance everything, that doesn't really do much for me. I need to bounce something else back to his hand. Well, actually, that works really well too. Because I could sacrifice that and then bounce everything. So I've got 6 mana to do that. Yup. He names the exact same thing. I could have done Kiki Jiki, but I would have needed to grab something better. And then with that, I can get a... Let me grab another forest. And then I do Devastation Tide. And then tap, and I'm all done. I would have gone Yosai, except I knew I was gonna bounce forward. That's what I should have thought of, was grabbing things that I was going to sacrifice. Gave me a pretty good ability, but sacrificed. But again, I don't know what he has in his deck, so the fact that I'm playing Sphinx's Ambassador, or Sphinx Ambassador, so here's the kind of trade-off, right? So Sphinx Ambassador is a creature, or Sphinx Ambassador goes after creatures. Creatures, I have no idea. You can do anything you want with creatures in any deck. Not many decks require you to have specific creatures in the deck. Most decks require you to have, sorry, and this is the parallel I'm kind of drawing here, is something like knowledge exploitation is a little different because I feel like you can more or less tell what kind of cards every deck's going to have. You almost always want a board wipe. Blue, red, and green don't really offer good exile or destruction board wipes. Red has to do damage, which can be defeated with protection. Um, Green doesn't really board wipe like that. Blue generally doesn't exile or anything like that. It usually bounces. So in those situations, it's nice that when I'm going against all these like white decks, I know they're gonna have Merciless Execution. Is it? That's what Merciless Eviction, um, Armageddon. They're gonna have not Armageddon. Day of Judgment, all of those things where it's just I know they're gonna have at least 1 or 2 board wipes because they're like 2 cents. Um, So it's for 7 mana. I can cascade into it, and I can pretty much I can check through their deck. I can be like, okay, I know worst case scenario they have a board wipe. Best case scenario though, they might have something like Rise of the Dark Realms, where I get to get all creatures from all graveyards onto my board, and I could hit into special things. Creatures though, I feel like I can't go into it assuming they have certain creatures because there's so many different commanders, and every commander can be played 10 different ways. Did they just all skip their turns? Yeah, Unskilled went. Oh, he cast it and then got rid of it and played Urborg. Then he went and all he did was cast something in past turn because he's only got 2 cards in hand. Okay. And is he going to cast his commander? So what does he do? Whenever another creature enters the battlefield, you gain life equals their toughness. And then he plays that. Cool. So he gets himself back to 21, 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. I'm going to hold up. one more. Let's see what I can cascade into. If I get a good enough hand here, I could just win. There we go. That's exactly what I wanted. Yep. I can win here as long as nobody touches me. This is basically over. Because all I need is Avenger and Pathbreaker Ibex. Make sure I select them. And I create all the tokens. And then I cascade one more time. And then I get Maelstrom. Then I can Myriad Landscape to give everything +1/+1. And then I just swing, honestly. If I swing all of these at Redwin, I don't think he can do anything about it. Wait, oops. All of these cards at Redwin. All of these at Kevin. This at Unskilled. This at Unskilled. This at Unskilled. And this at Unskilled. Is that enough? No, I don't think that's enough. Kevin. 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 I think that's enough. Yeah, someone plays Fog here. I kind of screwed myself. I should have just swung Maelstrom at him and nothing else. I didn't actually count everything up. I think I only made sure I counted enough for red. Everything else, I have no idea if it's going to hit or not. I mean, as long as 4 of these get through. Yep. And that's basically how this deck wins. So turn 9, I'm swinging in with Pathbreaker Ibex, Avenger of Zendikar, and all the lands, or all the plant tokens created off of them, and usually Maelstrom, all in one turn. You have to respond it through an instant or some kind of activated ability. Otherwise, you don't really have much chance to do anything. GGO. Yeah. I mean, this is generally how I win. When I usually make these decks, it's usually just like fun. It's usually just like I'll do random effects. I love Warp World. I love all these things where it's just like Wild Evocation, where everyone plays like a 2-cost spell and it turns into their like 10-cost creatures. Like I think that's fun. I think it's fun when everyone's doing random. That's what I really like about EDH. And then, but then you have these other issues where, uh, what was I gonna say? Like you have all these other issues where people get upset about that, people get annoyed about that, they don't like being random, they don't like the whatever they built a deck, they want to build the deck the way, or they want to play the deck the way it was meant to be played, not really like adapt to what's going on. Because usually the cards I play don't make it so you can't do what you're gonna do. It just means you have to like deal with some kind of random factor in it. So I basically ended up removing all of those cards that do stuff like that, and switched more over to a system of like Basically, I just switched to where my deck was more consistent. I still didn't like the idea of how a lot of people play their Maelstrom decks, where every single card in their deck is a take extra turn card. Every single card in their deck is a Kiki Jiki Zealous Conscripts or Kiki Jiki Deceiver Exarch. All these like infinite combos. One, they're annoying to play on MTGO, and I guess if I ever wanted to make it in person, I'd be cool with that. But I still don't like the idea of infinite combos to win. I don't really like the idea of um, no matter what, I'm always going to win. Even with this combo that I set up with Tooth and Nail, Avengers Zendikar, and Pathbreaker Ibex, there are so many ways to defeat it. Mainly just like instant destroying whatever, or maybe I draw the cards so I don't really have access to them the way I need them. Or maybe I played them early in the game and they got thrown to the grave. But if I ever need a quick win, usually I can get Tooth and Nail and get some combination of these cards to get a lot of damage out. And again, another part of it is if you've got like 50 2/2s, which happens all the time in Magic, then I just won't do enough damage to kill you. And I think that's completely fine. At least I'm not winning by like emptying your entire deck and then making you deck out by making you sit there and do an infinite. Like I just don't like that stuff. Or land destruction, I don't like. Point being, that is my general win con with this deck. Otherwise, it's just overwhelming with huge creatures like Progenitor Mimic on Pathbreaker Ibex, or um, being able to take like 3 of these 6/6s and then use Scourge of the Throne to attack with them twice, which is usually enough to kill most people. Um, or maybe I'll just keep hitting the take extra turns so that I can more to get extra combat phases. I'm not usually trying to cast a bunch of extra spells, just trying to swing more. So I don't usually take too terribly long of turns. But yeah, I mean that's it for this deck. The one thing I want to improve is making sure I can hit my land drops every turn, make sure Maelstrom's coming out turn 4 or 5 every single game consistently, and because there are some games where I won't hit any of these like land searches, I won't hit any of my ramp. Sometimes I won't even hit land drops because, like you saw with this game, I think I started with one land that was actually useful, and then I lucked into all of the other lands and all the other cards when I would rather start and I know like I've got 3 lands, which means I can always ramp and growth, I can always do all of these other cards, and then yeah, I wish it was a little more consistent, and I knew for a fact I could be like, yeah, I'm gonna sit down at this table and I'm gonna be able to start my game by turn 4 or 5, and that's where this Maelstrom mana ramp really works because I'll have a bunch of 2/1s on the field, whether they be Azusa's or Bloom Tenders or all these things where it's just like 2/2s, and then I power them all up with Lead the Stampede or where's that? Triumph of the Horde or Overwhelming Stampede or Crater Hoof, where all of these 2/2s are being turned. My issue with that thought process, though, is why don't I just play an Elves deck at that point? Because that's how Elves deck works. Elves deck work, where it's just a bunch of 2/2s. You even create a bunch of 1/1 tokens. You even create all this stuff. You go wide and then power them up to all be like 10/10s with trample. So why play Maelstrom if I'm going to do it that way? But I do still want to take some of the concepts of this. Oops. Now, well, I still want to take some of the concepts from this deck and move it into my main deck so that I'm consistently hitting that Maelstrom when I need to. But I'll work on that later. But thanks for watching, everybody. Probably switch to another game now and just chill out. Goodbye.